Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive Calm through the 4th of July. I had all my red, white, and blue out here to go along with my purple for the 4th of July, and we've been talking crabs and crab cakes and things that we're doing around here. My man Leonard Raskin back on the line, probably beaching this time of the year if I'm not mistaken, but certainly waiting for baseball to maybe begin. Certainly football looks like we're a couple of weeks away from trying to begin this thing in the pandemic era. But first things first, how's your boy after not graduating, but graduating sort of kind of in this sort of weird graduation season for all of us who've witnessed it from the outside?
Yeah, he's hanging in. He's like an infant. He's got his days and nights mixed up. He stays up all night, sleeps all day. What's a teenager to do? He had the virtual award assembly online, the virtual graduation. Some parents put together a really cool parade for the kids, so that was pretty awesome. They had a car lineup of a couple hundred cars led by Baltimore County's finest police and firefighters. They drove around the neighborhood. They ended up at parking lot up near Delaney.
Didn't most high schools do that? I mean, I'm Dundalk High.
A lot of them did.
Mike Brillhart put together a thing from 107. My lifer friend, Mike Brillhart of Dundalk High School, put together a thing with my boy Ranson, and they did a thing for Dundalk. So I'm thinking most places did something that was kind of uniquely special. And all I remember about my graduation on June 2nd, 1985, Leonard, was it was about 128 degrees inside the Dundalk Community College Theater. And I remember going across the stage in my green thing, and I looked up, and all I saw were, like, all the women fanning themselves because it was, like, so hot, you know?
That's it. Well, this was pretty good. The graduation was an hour and 15 minutes online. We were supposed to sit in the Towson Center, I guess, whatever they call it these days. We were supposed to sit in there probably for 3 hours. So watching online from the comfort of the dining room was pretty nice. And then riding with them in the parade, got to decorate the car a little bit, ride around. They ended up at the shopping center up there near Valley Mansion. They had free ice cream. They had a DJ out there. All the kids seeing their friends, and it was good stuff.
Well, I hope it was Taharka ice cream. If it was really good. So
it was good. All I know, it came out of a truck, and it was pretty tasty.
Leonard Raskin here from Raskin Global, managing money, managing finances, but more than that, I guess we're trying to manage expectations. You talk so much about in your business managing the expectations. The NFL has now delivered expectations that there's going to be a season, right? Like baseball for weeks fought with each other, and you and I got together talking about them fighting with each other, and the expectations were they probably won't play. Now they're going to play, and I don't even care if they play, but they're playing apparently, right? And then we all, right?
60-game season for the Major League Baseball. I don't know what that's going to look like. And I guess it was Sunday night. Friends over at Fox 45 Sports, they do the poll on the sports show there.
Right.
And they ask different questions every week. This week was, how many games do you think the Orioles are going to win? What's their record going to be in 60 games? Boy, we got a pessimistic fan base, baby. I'll tell you, one guy put 0-60. I said, that's tragic. Somebody put 10-50.
I put 12-48, and that's what there's a couple of things at work here. Okay, if we're gonna because Luke and I took a deep dive. You can go out to the buyatoyota.com audio vault and listen if you want. We got after it very early on Monday morning because Luke is like you. He's reaching for the beach. He's going down to Wildwood. He has a 30-year tradition with his family and pizza, and I love watching it, and I'm going to love watching him. So 4th of July is the weekend. You guys go to the beach, and I sit here and say, I'm glad I'm not in the traffic and like all that. So, but we got through it with baseball. First things first. I've done a lot of baseball this week because of apple pie and the 4th of July. So
right.
A lot. I thought I had John Sherholz on. I had Ken Singleton on this week. So I've been doing baseball. The rules have changed a bunch, right? Like with pitching and the designated hitter and extra innings and a guy on second base, kind of like the college football rules, right? It's weird. But the other part of this is from a competitive standpoint, if you've got really good pitching, good starting pitching, and I don't even know what that means because these starting pitchers are only going to be able to go 3-4 innings. They're not going to be able to go 7 innings until game 45. Yeah, literally, right? So, I mean, it's going to be like a fast track, right? It's going to be like horses meant to go a mile and 3/16, only going 3 or 4 furlongs, right?
It's a sprint. It's a sprint, 60-game sprint. And like you said, these pitchers are going to be all clocked and watched and pitch counts and innings, and who knows? But I thought 0-60 was over optimistic. I think we got a shot to win 20. We got a shot to win.
We got a shot to play 333 ball. That's the math. I mean, you're a math guy, right?
I wouldn't put my investments in it. I wouldn't call the Vegas line on that. I don't know what the Vegas line is on us, but I wouldn't bet the over.
Well, it wouldn't be any different than the same winning percentage. I mean, I made my July 1st joke, Leonard, and I said, hey, it's July 1st, and the Orioles are a 500 team. There's no way I would have taken money on that at the beginning of the year, right?
They're in first place. And
I just said 5. I didn't want to even go that far with it. I was just going to say, if you're playing 500 ball on July 1st in the modern era, you got a chance. For you, where's your level of expectation on all of this as we watch the southern states really go through a pandemic, that they did not go through 90 days ago, that New York did and other places went through, Chicago and other places. Now we're seeing this thing stretch out. I think the NBA's getting a little more lukewarm now that Orlando's become a hotbed. I don't know how they're going to start this up and sustain it. And I'm an optimist, Leonard. You know that about me.
I'll tell you, though, I think what's going on right now and what I hope happens, it looks like younger people are getting sick or getting infected. Let's change that. They're getting infected. The good news is it doesn't look like in the same percentages a ton of them are getting sick. The NBA, they're ready to go. They're testing. They got a few more positive tests, et cetera. As long as these guys don't get sick, if testing positive is one thing, ending up on a ventilator is surely something else. And these guys are all young, healthy, athletic studs, let's face it. But you get a couple guys in the hospital, I think it comes crashing down fast. If a couple players happen to get sick, which I hope doesn't happen.
Well, look, the leader of the United Kingdom was in the hospital, right, for a long weekend,
right?
Well,
he's maybe not so young, athletic, healthy.
No, but I'm just saying, as far as, could it happen to me? I lost a 47-year-old friend on Tuesday morning, a gal that I've known most of my life. And I have another friend who is very ill and may be getting hospitalized who got it last week. I visited with my dear friend over in the Eastern Shore. She lives in Fruitland outside of Salisbury, right? She got it and was in the hospital 2 weeks ago, and I visited her on the Eastern Shore. So, I mean, this has touched my timeline everywhere. 3 or 4 of my friends have lost their parents in recent weeks. My friend Dave lost his father, so I'm squeamish about all of it with a wife that's had cancer twice, and we went down to North Carolina. Nobody was wearing a mask, and I'd say, would I go to North Carolina? Yes. Would I go out again? No. I would just stay on the beach. The beach was fine. It was more like shops that hadn't been open in 6 months, not willing to tell you and your family it's okay for you to be on in here without a mask, even though it's state law, because it was kind of lawless. You know what I mean? People were just doing what the people cleaning the hotel I stayed in were not wearing masks. It skeeved me out,
Yeah. And so what happens with the NBA? I think that'll be a tell. Obviously, soccer has started. They're playing, and
I guess my point is when the basketball player goes out to dinner, the car wash, wherever you go, that's really the danger from my wife and I isn't here or walking around the harbor, right? The danger is in us being around other people that are maybe a little more carefree or a little more healthy or a little more young or I don't know where you've been, Yeah,
the NBA is supposedly going to be in this bubble. The baseball teams report this week. So stadiums, kind of wild to see. What is it going to be called? Summer training? Is that what it's going to be called? We've got summer training showing up at Camden Yards. That's going to be kind of wild. And I think as long as nobody gets sick, really sick, they'll go. It's their job. It's what they do. And I think these athletes want to play. NFL, they're kind of moving along. Look, they had the draft. They've done their thing. They've moved forward. Cam Newton's a New England Patriot. Tom Brady's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. It's going to be a weird season, but I'm waiting to see if the money I paid for my Ravens ticket's going to get used this year, or if they're going to give me a refund because I'm going to be sitting at home watching empty stadium games on TV.
Yeah, how's that going to get handled, right? Like, I know there's no official policy. I have not talked to anyone, although I probably could if I, wanted to get the lowdown on, like, what are you guys thinking? You got 60,000 PSLs. Like, who gets to go? Who doesn't get to go?
Yeah.
Is there a lottery? Where do you sit? Where should you sit? Should they open it all? And again, it's 4th of July, Leonard, right? I mean, it's like we're what would have been 4 weeks out on preseason games, literally, right?
Yeah, it's getting close, and I'm wondering. I have two PSLs. I've got one club level 50, and I've got one upper deck 50. And I'm wondering, do my upper deck seats get jammed and they don't get to go to the game? We don't get to use those seats. We can only use the club seats because we pay a little more. Or is it a lottery, and 1 week I'm going to get to sit upstairs and 1 week I'm going to get to sit downstairs because I won or didn't win the lottery? And are they sending me a check for my tickets back, or are they telling me they'll apply it to next year so nicely for them to keep the money working in their bank account?
Well, let me give you a scenario. If I'm Steve Bisciotti, and Leonard Raskin joining us here, of course, from Raskin Global. When you see the blue shirt, happy holidays to everybody out there. You can find Leonard at RaskinGlobal.com. If it's me, and I'm just thinking out loud and I'm spitballing here, at this point, I think their best chance is to say, look, you got a PSL, you're going to get to go to one game. And we're going to split everything by 8, right? Literally. We're going to divide the stadium by 8. And, if you have 8 PSLs, maybe you get 2 for this game and 2 for that, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And you say, and then the free market can decide, like, once those tickets are distributed, you've got 2 tickets for game 2 and 2 tickets for game 5, and it doesn't matter if we're playing the Cowboys or the Ravens, whoever we're playing, like that's what it's going to be. I would think that's the maximum they could do right now. Like if I'm doing their math and saying how many people could I put in the stadium, 60,000 divided by 8, that starts to sound like something that might be feasible and something that might be palatable to the season ticket holders to say, all right, I see where you're going with this, but I don't know that anybody's found much of anything palatable in this country the last 5 months.
What if I win the 8th lottery and I don't get the Steelers?
Right. Well, of course. I mean, that's going to be part of the game, right?
Those tickets might be worth a lot of money. Those Steelers tickets could go for a fortune. Thinking business, baby. Let's see how much. What is it? StubHub or Net Exchange or whatever they are. Let's see how much those tickets go for. If you got an eighth of the stadium coming in to watch the Steelers.
Or you could just be the San Diego Chargers and have an eighth of a stadium all the time.
All the time. That's your regular home game.
Or the Carson Chargers.
You know who could buy one of those tickets? You know who could buy one of those? Bobby Bonilla could buy one of those tickets.
Well, he's the big winner, right? I mean,
when we got a fortune, didn't he?
When we come together on July 1, they call July 1 Bobby Bonilla. He gets,
how great is that for him? What a brilliant business move. I mean, my goodness, $1 million a year forever.
1.2 million. I think he gets it through like 2031, if I'm not mistaken. There, you know,
it goes somewhere into the 30s. It's a long time. I mean, he was going to get what, $5 million? He was going to get $5 or $6 million, I think it was.
I'm going to Google it right now, and before we jump off, I'm going to quote the right numbers.
I think he was going to get $5 million. Instead, he gets $1 million and change for like 20-some years.
He gets $1.19 million today and every July 1 through 2035.
There you go. How great is that?
He is 57 right now.
Right.
And I knew Bobby Bonilla. In 2000, the Mets agreed to buy out the remaining $5.9 million on his contract.
25, and I think if you read in there, I think he gets interest on it too.
Yes, here you go. Instead of paying Bonilla $5.9 million at the time, see, if they hire Raskin Global, they wouldn't have this problem, right?
They made a better deal.
Instead of paying Bonilla $5.9 million in 2000. Bonilla deferred the money beginning in 2011. So Bonilla took $5.9 million, and banked it in 2000. Instead of taking real money of $6 million a time, he banked it, and said in beginning July 1 of 2011, not even knowing if he'd be alive then, right? Like, it was a little bit of a 401k, right? He said beginning July 1, 2011, which I would think, let me do the back on that, so 10 years back. So beginning when Bonilla was 46 years old. He deferred money in his late 30s and early 40s, and he said, when I'm 46, we will have 25 consecutive years where I make $1.2 million a year, and he had a negotiated 8% interest rate.
It's a pretty good deal, man. God, if you could get 8% on guaranteed money for 25 years, holy cow! People would be. If I had that, people would be lined up at my door to invest. Boy, that's just, I mean, what a stunner.
By the way, the next paragraph will explain a lot to you, Leonard Raskin. You ready? And by the way, I'm reading from an ESPN story here written by Dan Mullen. You ready for this?
Sure.
At the time, Mets ownership was invested in a Bernie Madoff account that promised double-digit returns.
That's right. You know what?
And the Mets were poised to make a significant profit if the Madoff account delivered. But that did not work out. So there you go.
I do remember that their owners were a couple of the guys that got slammed in that. Absolutely. They lost a ton of money. I remember that now.
What?
That's exactly right.
By the way, there are some other notable players here that they're showing how much less money they'll make in real terms and how other players negotiated similar deals. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know if anybody got something like that. That's just
Brett Saberhagen got $250,000 a year for 25 years, beginning in 2004. Bonilla was the inspiration for that deal.
The question is, instead of what?
Fair enough. That's a fair enough question. But
hell, it's still a good deal. I mean, an annuity payout for retirement. You know, people, when I advise people near retirement, we talk about income for life. It's kind of funny. People love getting their pensions, which pays a check every month for the rest of their life, can never go away. People love getting their Social Security check every month deposited in their bank like clockwork with a check that they can't outlive, that can never go away. And then I talk to them about taking some of their investment money, put it in an annuity with an insurance company that will do what? Pay them an income for the rest of their life that they can't outlive no matter what, just like clockwork. And they go, I don't want an annuity. Because some guy on TV told them how bad an annuity is, or their best friend told them how bad an annuity is, or Google told them how bad an annuity is, but they won't give up their pension or Social Security because they're loving it. But this thing called an annuity, I don't want one of those. Here you got, athletes with agents who negotiated deals to take guaranteed 8% money for the rest of their lives. That check today, boy, there's a.
Well, I guess the question is, who got swindled like that? I mean, like, I don't know, like, who would make that deal? And I'm trying to think, okay, times are tough now and it's bad. And all right, Leonard, you owe me $5.9 million and you can't pay me right now. But to make a promise to give me $1.2 million for 25 years at 8%, I'm thinking, what Shark Tank makes that? What mafia dealer, man? It's a crazy deal when you think about it, but you think about why the Mets didn't want to give him $5.9 million. I mean, I sort of get that they dangled this thing out in front of him.
Yeah, and he took it. Look, they had obviously back then, and I don't profess to have any clue how any of these sports compensation deals works, but salary cap is a crazy thing. And back in 2000, I imagine $5.9 million was a big deal. And so the way they run that out in bonus money and deferred money gives them freedom to clearly pay other players. I do know enough about it to know that that's how it works. So they probably cleared some cap space. That helped them at that moment. And then, as you said, we're invested with Madoff, guaranteed 12%, come rain or shine. We're going to give you 12% for the rest of forever because I got a black box. I know how to invest like nobody else does. And I will tell you, if you have an advisor that tells you they know how to invest like nobody else does, you should run and hide because they're lying. There is no secret to 12% return forever.
Well, it is amazing how people bought into that. I mean, maybe this is a good day to discuss that because it's not, it's uniquely incredible, but movies have been made about all of this. And, there's obviously a hustler everywhere. We talk so much about, is there one bad cop somewhere out there? Sure. Is there one fixed race or fixed boxing match or fixed basketball?
Right.
Yeah, that exists out there. But the Madoff thing, Listen, I
Wall
know
Street common,
someone who's in
unfortunately.
prison right now for basically doing the same thing,
Yeah,
just at a
yeah.
different level.
Well, that's because they didn't get big enough before they got caught. They'd have been at the same level if they had more time before they got blown up. But yeah, it's all too prevalent, unfortunately, and people are willing to buy into that. And look, the SEC investigated the guy, not investigated, but audited the guy 3 different times during his run, and he was the past president of a stock exchange, the NASDAQ at the time. He couldn't be dirty, and he had such incredible books and statements and records that he had cooked up for this scheme that the SEC investigators couldn't figure out if he was doing anything wrong. They couldn't understand it. He was above their pay grade. So they couldn't figure out that he was doing something wrong, and they just said, "Oh, you're doing great. All right, God bless." And people, I mean, you had to be in an exclusive club to get him to handle your money. And there are people, not to mention his one son, who killed himself over this. And there were money managers around the world that lost billions of clients' money by using him, and hung themselves, jumped off of buildings because of this, because they couldn't face what they had done to themselves, their finance, their future, their clients' money. And the one thing I can tell you for sure, 33 years, I sleep at night. I don't have to think about what we've done with our clients' money. We do the right thing. We have high integrity. We've been doing this a long time. We meet new people because of our existing clients that love us, that share their families and friends and colleagues and coworkers with us. And it's the only way we grow. And reputation is everything. And we tell people all the time, somebody tells you they got a secret, they ain't got a secret, because if they had a secret, they'd keep it to themselves. I don't care how much money they got. If I had the crystal ball that told me whether the market was going up or down tomorrow, I'd bet the house on it. I wouldn't need clients.
Well, it's amazing in my 30 years of doing sports radio, right? Like, I go back to Bobby Bonilla and him, but I also go back to Albert Bell, and I go back to Cal Ripken, and I go back to that money, that
Yeah.
early baseball money.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Jimmy Key is living right now. I know how Mike Mussina is living right now, and I know guys like Mike Mussina made $125 million, and Kurt Schilling, who made all that money and up in Rhode Island and had his problems, and every Jack Clark, and the players that have gone broke, right? Like guys that maybe only made $8 million or $10 million went broke in that era. Other guys made $100 million and went broke, and then we have football players that made 20, 30, 40 million and have gone broke. And all of us are out there hustling for $15, $20, $30 an hour, wherever people work, whatever 100 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, whatever you make, putting it away. You hear these millions and millions and millions of dollars. You think, man, if you ever came across $5.9 million and I brought it to Leonard Raskin, I would hope that I probably wouldn't have to worry. Like literally, if that kind of a windfall fell to me.
Life-changing money. It's life-changing money for 99.9% of the public.
Yeah, and yet a lot of guys still go broke, especially athletes and rappers, and MC Hammer. I mean, that's a lifestyle issue, though, right? I mean,
yeah, it's a lifestyle issue. It's a spend everything, more will come issue. It's a lot of them, unfortunately, get hooked up with these exclusive advisors that charge a lot and do a little. They get into deals that they just don't know what they're doing, and they get taken advantage of. For every guy out there that invests in an S&P 500 fund, there's another guy out there that invests in an S restaurant, whatever the hell that is. And the hardest business in the world to run is a restaurant bar, and they put this money into these deals that are supposed to be so amazing, and boom, away they go. Think about it. Back in Bonilla Day, right, 20 years ago, I mean, not even that long ago, 15 years, probably 20 years ago, 15 years ago, one of the biggest investments that people used to make, you'll love this, phone booths. People used to, because the phone company didn't own the phone booths, so people used to invest in phone booths and ATM machines and rent them in bars and restaurants and places. And think about that. What if you were the guy that invested in phone booths right before the iPhone came out?
Yeah, sure.
Game, set, match, over. It's like the turn of the last century. You were invested in the buggy whip, and down the road toddled the Model T. So these guys get wrapped up in all these crazy ideas and great ideas, and they don't do fundamental, basic planning to reserve money and prepare for themselves. I saw a guy speak once. You talk about millions. I saw a guy speak who was one of these tech, young, 20-something billionaires. and he was down to his last 10 million. I saw him speak at a conference, and he said, "Don't cry for me. I screwed up. It was my fault." He said, and this was an audience of financial advisors. He said, "If one of you would have come to me back then and told me to take 100 million and put it aside just in case, I'd have laughed at you. I was doing everything right. I was piling money on piling money, the jet, the cars, the houses." He said, I was doing everything, and I wouldn't have listened to any one of you. He said, "But God knows I should have." He said, I lost it all. And he said, "I'll get back." Because this is what entrepreneurs do. They work, they fulfill a need out there that says, what do people need and how can I solve that problem? Or what's something I can create that nobody's created that they don't even know they need yet? Like when Steve Jobs created the iPhone, nobody needed an iPhone. Now, if you have one, you can't walk away from it. You can't live without it. He created a need and then solved it. And so if you're an entrepreneur and you can do something like that, the world is your oyster. Everything and anything can be made. And people make money doing a lot of things. Let's face it. Somebody makes a rubber band. Somebody makes a paper clip. These things that we use every day generate billions, generate fortunes for people. And the problem is without good advice, most people lose it. They get involved in crazy stuff. Just because you were smart and had a great idea doesn't mean you know how to handle money. And athletes are the perfect example of that. They don't go to school to learn how to handle their money. They go to school to get a job. You started talking about my boy. It's exactly the same thing. We talk about why he's going to college, and he's going to college to hone his craft and get more knowledge so he can teach history in the future. We talk about athletes. These guys go to college to play football, to play basketball, whatever. It's a job interview. That's what they're doing. They want to get a job. And they don't train them, unfortunately, well enough in the ways of money. So what happens is these guys make a lot of money, but they don't know what to do with it. And then, unfortunately, people take advantage of them, and they make stupid decisions. They end up broke.
And then Bobby Bonilla finds a guy like you to get him $1.2 million a year for 25 years.
There you go.
Hey, man, tell everybody how to find you.
And that on the field. I hope we see some of that on the field this year.
Well,
man.
I hope we get some baseball. I hope we get some football. Lord knows we're waiting on that as we wait through the 4th of July. Leonard Raskin here from Raskin Global. He's got investments around here. I took my mints and I think I've used them. No, I found them. I found them in the Royal Farms coffee cup. There it is right there. The investments.
I'll send you some more.
Tell everybody about what you do and how to find you.
We do money, man. We do everything from budgeting to investing to insurance, estate work, tax work. We advise on all of it. You talk about people passing. I'll just take one last minute. We've had 3 elderly clients pass in the last 60 days. 2 had COVID on top of many other symptoms. One just passed, 92, a full, rich, wonderful life. We help them manage their affairs, grow their wealth, enjoy their retirement years, pass that on to their children. I've had the joy, the horrible feeling of having to talk to people who've just lost dad, mom, et cetera, but the joy behind that, saying we help them plan a life of finance and you're going to inherit X dollars and the hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars that I've watched grown men and women cry because not only did they lost dad, they lost mom, but they could not believe what was coming their way that mom and dad had set aside and worked so hard to do and lived a rich, full life. And that's what we help people do, have all the money they want for while they're alive, do the things they want to do. Our slogan, empowering people to choose their financial future, whether that's leave it to charity, leave it to kids, causes, whatever your passion is and your purpose is, we help people find that and do the things they want with their money. You can find us at RaskinGlobal.com. You can find us on Facebook at Raskin Global, LinkedIn at Raskin Global. We're putting out content all the time. We'd love to help anybody out there in the audience that needs somebody to sit down with and make sure they're making sound financial decisions.
Well, I'm not going to come find you on the beach here for the 4th. I hope you have a beautiful holiday with your family. Enjoy the little bit of time we have here to be able to do these things because we don't have concerts and ball games and all that good stuff right now. We'll figure out this mess with who's going to get to go to the Steelers game or not, all right?
Absolutely.
Take care of yourself. Stay safe through the holidays. We'll send everybody out. RaskinGlobal.com, empowering people to choose their financial future. Great chat about Bobby Bo. I enjoyed it, Leonard. Thanks, bud.
There you go.
A little money in there, a little Madoff story, a little baseball history, and a little Bobby Bo for Bobby. We don't think of the 4th of July. The other holiday is, Bobby Bo got paid again. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming around the world on our WNSTV YouTube channel. And, of course, calm, local, and always Baltimore positive.